Congratulations, just shifting gears, Billions.
Thank you.
That was renewed for the 5th season. And when you had come on to that show, it was sort of, you had Axelrod there as your mentor, and now all of a sudden, he's your nemesis.
That's right.
But the fascinating part that I love about it is that in addition to being the nemesis, he will still call your character by the preferred pronouns, they, their, them. And you'd think that if this person, your enemies, that you would go right for the dig, but they don't. And the show really does make it a point, even with Kevin Pollak's character making mistakes every now and then. I did it just earlier, I'm sure the world does, that this show has sort of turned into an educational tool for you. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's been an incredible silver lining that Billions has become a teaching tool about gender identity and gender expression. You know, I don't think it's something, well, I know it's something that I didn't anticipate when I joined the show, and I know that Brian Koppelman and David Levine, who created the character of Taylor, they assumed someone had already created a non-binary character that was going to be on television. So for them, it was very organic, and I think I'm so proud and humbled to be playing a character that would have meant a lot to me as a young person, to have seen a character like that on screen. And, you know, it's incredibly gratifying to get messages from people from all over the world, not only kids who reach out to me and say, you know, I'm non-binary and I feel less alone for the first time in my life, or parents who reach out to me and say, you know, my kid has just come out as non-binary or trans, and I have a greater understanding of how to interact with them and love them and support them because of Taylor on Billions. And then I have people reach out to me who, and I'm paraphrasing, but will say, you know, I'm a right-wing conservative and I was transphobic and I was homophobic, but I love you and I love your character on Billions and I wish you the best. And that is art changing hearts and minds, which is the goal for me with any art that I'm participating in. So it's just been incredibly gratifying.
That's amazing. When the character first, like when the script came, it was on your desk, I heard that the character was not non-binary or had a female assigned to it. What happened there? Did you have a part in dropping the female aspect to it, or?
When I received the character breakdown for Taylor, in addition to it saying that they were, you know, a genius, it also said female gender non-binary. And I thought, well, if you're non-binary, then why would they use the word female? Like, I just sort of didn't understand. And so through doing a little research, good old Google, for the first time I saw female as assigned sex at birth, assigned female at birth, but gender identity non-binary. And so for me, it was a real light bulb moment of going, oh, we're all assigned a sex based on a quick glance at our external genitalia as babies, and then a gender identity and gender roles and gender stereotypes are placed on top of that. So I was assigned female at birth, but my gender identity is non-binary, and that is how I finally ultimately felt like I could really live in the freedom of who I was.
So it was this character that really made you search for your own sort of identity in this sense?
Before encountering Taylor, I identified as gender fluid, gender queer, and even non-binary, but I didn't fully understand how to release she, her pronouns because I never felt that it was going to be part of my journey to change my body. And so just learning that female was an assigned sex, that's what we're all assigned a sex at birth, and that gender identity is placed on top of that. I just came into an understanding that I don't need to change my body to be valid as a non-binary trans person.
Yeah. And how do you feel like being non-binary helps you deepen the role? You're not tied to those stereotypes of playing the. We have seen you in a dress on the show, but we see you mainly in business suits, and we associate that with male. The fashion is a way, the majority of the time, to make that diverge between the gender. So how is being non-binary add to your role?
You know, I think if you are a writer or a producer or a casting director and you want to be telling a story about someone's life experience, but you don't have that life experience, and you haven't reached out to anyone who has that particular life experience, then you're just guessing at a life experience, and that can be really dangerous because then you're not giving, you don't have a full understanding of what that life experience is. So I think for me, as a non-binary person playing this non-binary character, it means that if a script comes my way and Taylor has a line that says policeman, and this happened in season 2, I get to say, well, Taylor wouldn't say policeman. Taylor wouldn't gender that job. Taylor would just say police officer, as an example. So you have what you have is someone, well, I'm talking about myself, but what you have is someone who can be there to say, like, actually, this is the experience of this person, and this is the way in which it would be reflected in the story. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so then this way, like I said, you see it on set, but then off set as well, it seems like quite a supportive atmosphere if you're able to sort of educate the crew and the writers.
I feel really grateful, not only to Showtime, but all of our producers, Brian and David, the co-creators and showrunners, the writers, and all of my fellow castmates. It has felt like a very collaborative experience from the beginning, and I always felt very comfortable just saying, like, oh, in season 2, there were a couple scripts that came my way where Taylor was misgendered. And I just, shot off a quick email to Brian and David and said, oh, check page 30, line whatever, and then it would come back changed, with no sort of pushback.
Wow. And how important is that to you? Because this is happening on Billions. You were making history with this role, but we're hoping that this will really impact future shows and future films. Have you seen any of that put into place as of yet?
There has certainly been progress. You have shows like Pose on FX. And there's certainly, further that we need to go. We need more representation of trans femmes and women of color, gender nonconforming people of color. These are the people that started the queer revolution long before I was born, simply by being visible. I wouldn't be here today without the blood, sweat, and tears of those people. We're coming up on it's the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots this year, and so I'm really aware of the fact that I am sort of joining a trail that was blazed long before I was born. So, I want to continue to fight to uplift and support historically marginalized and historically disenfranchised people. And if Taylor and/or myself have been a bridge towards understanding, then that's incredibly gratifying.
If you love that video, you're going to love everything on the Access YouTube channel. So hit the subscribe button. You can thank me later. Hit it.